Alright, folks, we're going to be entering today doing some Jonah work. Just our major topic is rescued from Sheol, begging for death. The paradox of Jonah's deliverance and the tragic reality of an unaligned heart. Experiencing God's grace does not guarantee we share His compassion. Alright, so we're going to start in Jonah 2 today, guys. We'll be reading Jonah 2 and 4. Feel free to read the entire book of Jonah. It's rather short, so it won't take too much time. But that's going to be the main thesis for our topic today, and I'm sure everybody's very familiar with Jonah already. I just want to point out some major aspects from chapter 2 and 4. We're going to also be using Young's literal translation today. No other reason than Jonah is fairly short, so I find the translation to be not overwhelming with these passages today. So getting started. And Jonah prayeth unto Jehovah, his God, from the bowels of the fish. And he saith, I called because of my distress to Jehovah, and he doth answer me. From the belly of Sheol I have cried, thou hast heard my voice. When thou dost cast me into the deep, into the hardest seas, then the flood doth compass me, all thy breakers and all thy billows have passed over me. And I said, I have been cast out from before thine eyes, yet I add to look unto thine holy temple. Compass me have waters unto the soul, the deep doth compass me, the weed is bound in my head. To the cuttings of mountains I have come down, the earth, her bars, are behind me to the age, and thou bringest up from the pit my life, O Jehovah, my God. And the feebleness within me of my soul, Jehovah, I have remembered, and come in unto thee doth my prayer unto thy holy temple. Those observing lying vanities their own mercy forsake, and with a voice of thanksgiving I sacrifice to thee that which I have vowed I complete. Salvation is of Jehovah. And Jehovah saith to the fish, and it vomiteth out Jonah on dry land. Alright, guys, before we pass over to chapter 4, I just want to highlight in the text, in verse 2 here, we have the word Sheol. For readers that aren't as acquainted, Sheol, oh, I didn't know I was going to have to do all that now. I was just trying to highlight that. But Sheol would have been, in the terms of the ancient days in their time, considered the place of the dead. So, not hell, not heaven, but where all dead people go waiting for judgment or waiting for the coming of Christ. Chapter 4. Let's pick up at the verse 1. And it grieves unto Jonah a great evil, and he is displeased at it. And he prayeth unto Jehovah, and he saith, I pray thee, O Jehovah, is not this my word while I was in my own land? Therefore I was beforehand to flee to Tarshish, that I have known that thou art a God, gracious and merciful, slow to anger, and abundant in kindness, and repenting of evil. And now, O Jehovah, take, I pray thee, my soul from me, for better is my death than my life. And Jehovah saith, Is doing good displeasing to thee? And Jonah goeth forth from the city, and sitteth on the east of the city, and maketh to himself there a booth, and sitteth under it in the shade, till that he seeth what is in the city. And Jehovah God appointeth a gourd, and causeth it to come up over Jonah, to be a shade over his head, to give deliverance to him from his affliction. And Jonah rejoiced because of the gourd with great joy. And God appointeth a worm at the going up of the dawn of the morrow, and it smiteth the gourd, and it drieth up. And it cometh to pass about the rising of the sun, that God appointeth a cutting east wind, and the sun smiteth on the head of Jonah, and he wrappeth himself up, and he asketh his soul to die, and saith, Better is my death than my life. And God saith unto Jonah, Is doing good displeasing to thee because of the gourd? And he saith, To do good is displeasing to me unto death. And Jehovah saith, Thou hast had pity on the gourd, for which thou didst not labor, neither didst thou nourish it, which a son of a night was, and a son of a night perished. And have not I pity on Nineveh, the great city in which there are more than 12 myriads of human beings who have not known between their right hand and their left, and much cattle. I would just like to point out here, folks, the 12 myriads, this would typically be interpreted as 120,000 individuals or men. All right, let's get the slideshow started. Slide 1, the desolate prophet. Jonah was called to deliver God's message of salvation, but he chose to run in the opposite direction. He isolated himself in the wilderness of his own rebellion, choosing the desolation of disobedience over the discomfort of extending grace to his enemies. Right, guys? When Jonah was fleeing to Tarshish, he wasn't just fleeing. He was quite literally going across the entire sea to the other side of the known world at that time. The unthinkable calling. Jonah was a successful, comfortable prophet in Israel. God called him to Nineveh, the capital of the brutal Assyrian Empire. He was being asked to offer God's grace to the very executioners appointed for his own people. Object lesson. Plant and worm. Misplaced compassion. God appoints a plant to shade Jonah, bringing him immense joy. The next day, God appoints a worm to destroy it. When the scorching wind hits, Jonah's grief over a plant exposes a terrifying reality. He valued his own temporary comfort infinitely more than the eternal lives of 120,000 people. The withered vine. Deliverance is not transformation. We can be pulled from the pit, yet stubbornly cling to our bitterness. Like Jonah weeping over a withered vine, we mourn minor inconvenience while ignoring spiritual death around us. He prefers to be completely separated from God rather than participate in a mercy he vehemently disagrees with. The terrifying reality. Grace received. Jonah was miraculously saved from the belly of Sheol. He tasted direct, undeniable grace in chapter 2. Grace resented. Yet by chapter 4, he actively asked to die, choosing ultimate separation from God because he cannot stomach the same grace being offered to his enemies. The story reveals a dark human truth. Experiencing God's deliverance does not automatically align our hearts with His. People will literally choose the darkness of Sheol over a kingdom that includes people they despise. The miracle didn't fix Jonah's heart. It merely relocated his rebellion. The prophetic blueprint. Jonah's personal bitterness wasn't just a character flaw. It became the prophetic blueprint for Israel's ultimate failure. The sign of Jonah was a devastating warning. Like Jonah, the first century religious elite loathed Christ, extending the kingdom to tax collectors, sinners, and Gentiles. They wanted an exclusive kingdom of insiders, but Jesus was bringing global, borderless grace. They chose exclusion over expansion. First century Israel, the ultimate Jonah, hoarding the promises. Israel was called to be a light to the nations, but by the first century, the Old Covenant leadership had become Jonah, sitting under the withered vine. They hoarded the covenant promises and demanded God's militant wrath upon Rome, their Assyria. Instead of bringing the gospel of peace to the nations, they enriched themselves in zealotry and bitter exclusion. The 80-70 reversal. Jonah sat outside Nineveh, waiting for fire to fall on his enemies, but God spared the city through their repentance. In a devastating eschatological reversal, first century Israel sat waiting for God to destroy the Gentile world. Just as God appointed a worm to destroy Jonah's comforting vine, God appointed the Roman Empire to destroy first century Israel's comforting temple. Because they violently rejected the new covenant and the inclusion of the nations, the 80-70 judgment fell on them. The mirror. For as Jonah became a sign to the people of Nineveh, so will the Son of Man be to this generation. Luke 11:30. The old system fell in 80-70, vindicating God's inclusive grace. The question remains, do you rejoice in the radical expansion of the kingdom, or do you harbor the bitterness of Jonah? A heart aligned, experiencing God's deliverance does not automatically align our hearts with compassion. Thank you. Alright, if you guys came from Facebook, you guys seen this picture, feel free to share it. I just made it really quick after the slide, just throw everything together real quick into one big picture. One thing I didn't include, guys, just because I couldn't find a good way to fit it in without it coming across as being forced. And the best place to force something is at the end of the video, so that's the time to do it is now. But prior to Jonah, the prophet before him actually warned Israel at that time, or the northern kingdom of Samaria, that judgment would befall them from the Assyrians. So Jonah was fleeing because he understood that helping the Assyrians would only lead to the greater downfall of Israel down the line. I think that's really important. I'm excited to hear what you guys have to think about the video. Leave a like, leave a comment, and subscribe if you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you, and have a wonderful evening.